It's hard to make revenue bets 3 years out or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have any revenue bets for this one.
Just given that we've made some revenue bets for this year, and I think that's the appropriate time period for revenue bets.
Yes, 1 year is fine.
The fact that we made these Hard Rock and Ocean bets is preposterous in retrospect.
Yeah. My bets aren't actually good.
Yeah.
But
sounds like it's going to be a good episode. Howdy, it's Monday, May 8th, 2023, and this is episode 201 of Due for a Win, the Atlantic City and Casino Biz podcast. I'm Kyle Askin, joined, as always, by Craig Stone. What's good, Craig?
201, truly the episode everybody talks about.
Indeed.
As the milestone.
201, if you can make it to 201, you've made it.
I think so. I have a question.
Yeah.
We've already ditched the history.
Uh-huh.
Which I have to say feels very freeing.
It was good. And let me tell you, ditching the history, it doesn't really impact me that much because you were doing 98% of the work there, but ditching Boardwalk Empire, that was the really freeing thing. Well, we didn't ditch it. We finished it.
Looking back on Boardwalk Empire, if I was just watching it at my own pace without having this homework element attached to it, I probably would have enjoyed the show a lot more.
Would you have watched the whole thing?
Yeah, I probably would have stopped in season 2.
Yeah, you kind of did not like some of the later seasons more than I didn't like them.
Yeah, I don't know.
You couldn't have made it through the Chip Rossetti season, knowing how you felt about that.
Yeah. The pitch I have for you is, we've already ditched history. Should we also ditch Casino Biz from the, I don't know, title, tagline, whatever you want to call it, so that the intro is just Due for a Win, the Atlantic City podcast? Because as far as I can tell, we're the only ones left in this sea of Atlantic City podcasts. We need to stake our claim like a flag on the moon.
Yeah, that's kind of true. I mean, I was going to argue and say that 7 Out was sort of at least Atlantic City adjacent, though it seems like these days, who knows how often they're going to be releasing episodes, but it's been a lot of Vegas anyway, of their most recent 15 episodes. So we can, if you have problems with the Casino Biz part. I mean, we don't really talk about it that much, but I don't care either way.
It just feels like an unnecessary addition at this point.
Sure. The Atlantic City podcast. It's going to take me a bunch of episodes to get used to that, but
we'll see if we even remember. Next episode, it may just be like the same intro with Casino Biz podcast, which I think would be very us.
Episode 201 of Due for a Win, the Atlantic City. Oh, that's going to sound so very strange.
If you don't want to do it, we don't have to do it.
I mean, I could get used to it. We'll give it a shot.
Like I was saying, we're the last one. There have been a couple others. We've outlasted them.
Is that true? I can think of one other.
Well, there was the Press of AC's podcast for a little while. There was also Primetime AC for a little while. If you include Frank Morano's radio show segment, which is released as a podcast, that is also technically Atlantic City podcast.
There
but
you go.
I think that's more of a radio show that is also. I think I'm still claiming it. All right,
we're the only ones.
My theory on work is you don't have to be amazing at your job or work really hard.
I would know.
I work in public sector, so keep that in mind. But just staying in one place and outlasting everyone else and winning the war of attrition, that I feel is also Due for a Win. No guests, no fancy production value, just doing it, showing up to work like Cal Ripken Jr.
Do we really show up to work like Cal Ripken Jr.?
I mean, we had years. I was looking at the data, we had years where we were doing 30 episodes, 29 episodes. That certainly has not been the case.
And by that, you mean like 2016 and 2017?
Yes, those 2 years is what I mean. So we have a lot of sort of 201 not milestone, but like look backy type stuff. But we have one news thing we need to get through.
So the one news item that we think we should mention is that the Bamboozle Festival, which we talked about a bunch on this show, which was supposed to have just occurred from May 5th to 7th, was shut down by the city 1 week before the event. This is according to a Press of Atlantic City article that we're going to link to. Apparently, the organizers did not meet deadlines to get final permits, and this was just hours after a report about ticket buyers feeling like the show was under-delivering on the number and kind of fame and stature of the bands. Ticket prices were starting to tank.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Like very all of a sudden, I got an email thing in the morning from Press of Atlantic City, like latest headlines. People are calling it Scamboozle. They're saying that I guess they were buying early bird packages for tickets because the promoters were saying, oh, as it gets closer, the prices are going to go way up. And then the opposite happened. They were discounting tickets as it got closer.
I mean, that's foolish. You shouldn't listen to the promoters.
Right. Yes.
May the buyer beware.
And so then minutes after I read that article, I got another article. City shuts down Bamboozle Festival. So this is the Bamboozle Festival, not the Edge AC Ent Festival that we've talked about also many times. That is Memorial Day weekend.
Which, as far as we know, is still on.
That one seems much, much more legit, I have to say.
Though, Bamboozle Festival was apparently a very famous / well-known festival in New Jersey. So, I mean, this comes as at least a bit of a surprise.
Multiple large venues in Jersey, but apparently it was like the dude who started it bought back the rights to it just in time to set this whole thing up. And it was like kind of last minute. Apparently he doxed some dude on a podcast who was complaining about the ticketing practices and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that didn't go over real well.
That's what we do to all of our people who complain about.
Yeah. It's how you make so many friends. Everybody loves that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like they just didn't have the proper insurance or whatever it was in the city. Basically said, you've missed the boat on this and it's over. So no Limp Bizkit for you. I know how much you love nu metal.
Ba with the ba.
That's not Limp Bizkit. It's Kid Rock.
Ah, damn it. Did it all for the nookie?
That is Limp Bizkit.
Oh,
correct.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Limp Bizkit, it's crazy to think back to like junior year of high school. That was like the biggest band in the world. I dare you to go listen to a Limp Bizkit song in 2023.
Well, not
it's horrific. And I say this as somebody who still listens to emo.
It's not emo though.
No.
Totally
Limp Bizkit's
unrelated.
totally nu metal. I'm saying I also listen to bad 90s, 2000s music, so I can't really talk. So that's the news. We have stuff, I guess, to talk about in 201.
I think we're going to go back and talk about a bunch of our episode 100 bets and predictions that we've made and laugh at ourselves. And maybe we'll make a few more wagers for, let's say, episode 250. Maybe just talk about some general things about the show. How's that sound?
That sounds good. You actually went back and listened to all 1 hour and 11 minutes, I think, of episode 100.
I didn't quite do that. I listened to like the middle 40 minutes while we were talking about this stuff. There's only so much I'm willing to put into this podcast.
Listening to us talk is not one of the things that you're willing to do.
Only for a certain amount of time. So in episode 100, we made a bunch of predictions, and some of them we even followed through and made wagers on. A lot of these bets and or predictions were a bit unclear in the episode because we were talking about how episode 200 was going to be in December 2022.
So aggressive, the timeline.
We were talking as if, this is when the bets were going to come up, but it was kind of implied that it was going to be whenever episode 200 was. So a little unclear, but I don't think it impacted any of these wagers. So should be fine either way. The first thing we mentioned when talking about the futures that we both believed that drinking was going to be allowed on the boardwalk, which it is now.
Success. We don't take advantage of that enough, by the way.
Yeah, we really don't. It's not like New Orleans, where it's like you cannot leave a place without dudes with cups like standing there to pour your stuff in. I believe you're still technically not supposed to be carrying your glass bottles out there or whatever, though plenty of people do.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in a branded, like from the bar branded plastic cup, I think.
I would assume at a bar they will do that, but at the casinos, like, no one's ever there.
There is a little bit of bars during peak season that set up in front of the casinos on the boardwalk side, and you can order drinks. I want to say Johnny Rockets is one of them that has that sort of bar. I'm surprised there's not way, way, way more of it. Because, I mean, even going to Grand Central Station at rush hour, every little crappy eatery just has like a giant display cooler sort of thing full of Bud Light that they just spin around and it's facing the pedestrians so that everybody can grab their tall boy of Coors Light or whatever it is as they're running to catch their train home, because you cannot take the train home without having a 22-ounce beer.
No, yeah.
I'm surprised there's not more of that.
I mean, I'm sure that's what you do every day on the path, right?
You can't do that on the path. That's not allowed. You're no food or drink on the path. That's why it's always so clean.
Come on. Yes, so clean.
I think we don't experience it as much because we go off peak a lot.
Right. We tend to go in the off season more often than the summer. And even when we go in the summer, it's like, a Tuesday or something.
Yeah. But like Steel Pier, they have a little beer booth near the front. You can grab a beer there.
And pizza.
That's delicious pizza.
Mm-hmm. It'll give you COVID though, as I found out last time.
Yes. Steel Pier Pizza, 100%. So that was right. It is allowed on the boardwalk, although, as I've said, I'm surprised it didn't take over as much. But maybe people were just drinking on the boardwalk already and didn't change their habits that much.
So I thought that there was a 75% chance that Trump Plaza would be demolished. You thought there was a 95% chance, so we made a wager on this. I was going to get $10 if Trump Plaza was still there, and you were going to get $1 if it was not. And, as a spoiler, it's not there.
I think it says something about our gambling styles that in this document, I have a lot of bets where I have won $1 because I'm taking the sure thing bet. It's terrible. What am I going to do with the dollar?
That's not terrible. Come on. It's $1. You could put it straight into a slot machine or whatever.
I can.
It'll be your next drink at a slot machine.
Hey, I was tipping $2 a drink in Vegas.
You won $1 only payable in strawberry daiquiri whipped cream.
Ooh, I'll take it. That sounds great.
It would be good.
So I have $1 there. That's the first bet that's actually settled.
So we decided that it wasn't even worth betting on because we both were quite certain that Atlantic Club would be demolished, or would not be demolished, I'm sorry, which is correct. But we also were pretty certain that it was going to be because something was done with it. And we said that we both thought there was around a 20% chance that it would just be some depressing thing just sitting there being abandoned, I think was the exact quote, which is exactly what it is.
Yeah. 20%. We were so optimistic, so foolishly optimistic.
So what do you think? I think this is a good time to maybe chime in with an episode 250, prediction or whatever. So do we think that Atlantic Club's going to be demolished? And if not, do we think it's actually going to be open in some way, shape, or form, even if it's not necessarily open to us, if it's, say, condos or student housing or something?
So the latest news that's come out about it is that the people who own it were very surprised about how bad a shape it's in.
There hasn't been 28,000 stories talking about what bad shape it's in.
Yeah, so this article is we knew about just the exterior parts of it falling off onto the street below, but we didn't know how bad the inside would be. It's one is indicative maybe of the other, I would say. They're still claiming they're going to renovate it and turn it into something, whether it's a non-casino resort or condos or who knows. I'm highly skeptical of Atlantic Club's future that doesn't involve demolishing it at this point.
I tend to think that that's probably more likely than not as well. I don't know exactly how skeptical you are. I might be a little bit less skeptical than you, but I'd say I'm maybe 50-50 on if it's going to be demolished. Maybe even a little less. Maybe 60 not demolished, 40 demolished by episode 250.
By 250, yeah, I think it'll hang around. 250, if we're figuring that's a little less than 2 years from now.
That's 2 years, yeah.
I could see it
shouldn't be less than 2 years. It'll probably be a little more than 2 years, right? Because that's our pace.
Yeah, it'll be very close.
Mm-hmm.
We've been right around 26 episodes a year.
All right.
That's the most important thing. Not any of this talk about what's going to be going on with the Atlantic Club. It's about what pace are we on. For
exactly.
podcasters.
So we both think it's slightly more likely than not that it still exists at episode 250.
Yeah, I think slightly more likely than not. Yeah, I'll go with that.
But I don't think it's very likely to be open either, honestly.
Oh, no.
So,
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so little information coming out about it.
I'd love to be surprised, though. All right.
Speaking of surprised.
Yeah. So we were talking about what Hard Rock was going to make in full year 2022. This is one that had a very specific start and end date. I said Hard Rock was going to be over $375 million in 2022. Can you remind me what Hard Rock did in, I guess, was it 2019 that we made this bet? What was Hard Rock's 2018 total? Or did it reopen in 2018?
2018 was 161 million. That was when it reopened. So it was only open for a few months. It was only open for 6 months. 2019, its total was 324. That was its first full year.
324.
Open.
Yeah. But we didn't know that because we made this bet in June of 2019.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty bold bet. I know that I thought I was stupid when I took the over on 375 million. You, I think, called me an idiot during the episode. So that was a $5 bet. It ended up paying off. I mean, they were way over 375 million.
$492 million.
My goodness. Never could have guessed that.
No. It's funny because we also, I think after we first saw the Hard Rock, maybe I was more optimistic than you were, but said that we could see at some point Hard Rock eclipsing Borgata's revenue, which still is very far away from happening.
Right.
But then within a very short time, we were like, they'll never make $400 million in a year. That's crazy talk. So it's done very well.
Yep.
We were wrong. We can be wrong at both ends. I think that's the most important takeaway here.
Yeah. That was not such a good line, it turns out. But anyway, I won $5. So
nice.
And then we were talking about Ocean, and you thought that Ocean was going to be over $280 million in 2022. And I think we worked up to that number. I think we're starting a bit lower. I actually kind of wanted the over, I think. And then I finally set it to a level that I thought was going to be preposterous if you went over, but you still took the over. And it turned out to be a very safe bet, too.
$357 million. So they both easily cleared it. What we said.
And by the way, I mean, I think back then, like, we couldn't have known that they were going to be so dominant over the other casinos not named Borgata. Because they weren't, right?
It's a huge surprise.
Back then, I mean, who was the second biggest casino? Tropicana, maybe, in the city?
In 2019?
Let's say in 2018.
Borgata 710. It was Tropicana 339.
Yeah.
Harrah's right behind him.
2019, I assume it was Hard Rock and then Trop? Is that right?
No, Hard Rock and then Harrah's.
Hard Rock and then Harrah's.
But
okay.
Trop right behind Harrah's. So they were close both years.
Couldn't have guessed.
It's a remarkable turnaround. I mean, it is a really nice property, so it's like not that surprising going and seeing it, but the numbers it was doing were really underwhelming. And of course, it has the history of Revel of just being, failing. So
since we're speaking about Ocean, let me jump a little bit down the agenda to another bet that we ended up making, which was that I thought that Bally's was going to be closed by the time we recorded episode 200. You thought it would still be open. I think I was going to get $4 if it was closed, and you would get $6 if it was open, although it's a little unclear based on the note I took. So we might have to check your bet sheet as well. Bally's is indeed not closed, so you are correct whether you win $4 or $6 for that.
Okay, I'll look that up.
Interestingly, while you're looking that up, we both thought that Bally's was by far the casino most likely to close, and that Ocean was by far the second most likely casino to close, which in retrospect seems preposterous, but at the time I don't think it was like totally out there because they were not doing well after they reopened.
So I have it down that you would have gotten $6 if it was closed, and
so
I got
$4.
$4 with it being open.
So right now you are up $5.
Yeah, so I'm at $5 right now.
Oh boy.
Ah, man, I'm rolling in it.
But that's going to be counteracted by
oh no,
the next bet, which was that I said that Toll Brothers would not have a tenant by episode 200, which was completely accurate, and that was just a straight up $5 bet, so we're even again.
All right, well, keeping the math easy.
Surely we both agree that Toll Brothers building will not have a tenant by episode 250, right?
It cannot. It's impossible.
It's absolutely not.
I think it's more likely to be demolished than to have a tenant.
Unbelievable. I mean, is there some world that, Atlantic City gets popular enough, which it's, the trajectory is, I think, sort of generally that way, that, like, someone opens a space in there?
Sure, I could see it. It's in a weird spot.
It's in a little bit of a weird spot, but it's the right shape and size, I think, for, like, a brewery. That would be, like, a pretty cool place for a brewery or something.
Yeah, or like a brew pub, or not a brew pub, but like a gastropub kind of place, like on the boardwalk or something.
It's not impossible, but, like, someone's gonna have to come in with, like, really big ideas and a lot of funding or whatever, and it could happen. But, yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Beer Garden 2.0.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't really have outdoor space.
Right. Maybe it's better with the aggressive birds at the Beer Garden.
Barcade.
Al's Arcade or whatever was the only thing that opened there that we didn't count because it was just obviously run by Toll Brothers.
Right. Yes, it was run by Toll Brothers.
Right.
So we're even.
We're even.
Where are we at now?
We both thought that Bart would still own the playground, and we did not end up betting on that, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but he does not own the playground, correct?
Caesars owns it again.
Gone back to Caesars, who, as far as I can tell, are doing nothing with it.
Correct.
Love to see it. It's a nice space, too. It's just, like, such a shame. That doesn't make any sense.
It's just so low on the priority list for them. They're doing all this other stuff.
There's only so many capital dollars available to be deployed, and they're rightfully deciding that it needs to be deployed into their casino properties and room product.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Caesars sort of sees it as drawing people away from the casino right now, if they put stuff in it. So hopefully they do something with it.
So I think the last directly Atlantic City related wager that we had was whether or not Showboat was still going to be owned by Bart Blatstein. You were going to get $6 if it was not owned by Bart Blatstein, and I was going to get $3 if it was, and it is indeed still owned by Bart Blatstein. So I'm up $3 overall, right?
You are.
Whew. Big money.
Crazy.
I don't think we could have thought that, he was actually going to do stuff with it. Even if you asked me at 150, I wouldn't have thought he was going to do stuff with it. But yeah, it looks like we're trending in that direction. things are happening at the Showboat.
Yeah, I'm interested. I mean, obviously I'm interested. But
I mean, yeah, you are contractually obligated to be interested in the Showboat at this point.
Because I always sort of thought it was shaping up for a sale, right? For some sort of packaged thing. But, like, Bart's actually doing it? Can we say that? Can we say that before it opens?
It seems like he's heading in that direction.
Yeah.
So we had some podcast-related...
non-bets, just predictions, right?
Ideas. So first we had talked about the number of guests we're going to have between episode 100 and 200. I believe between 0 and 100 we had something like 7 guests or something, if you count each instance of a guest being on as like one guest. You said it was going to be over 5 guests between episode 100 and 200. The actual was 0, but we didn't bet on that.
Can confirm 7 guests in the first 100 episodes. 7 episodes with guests. Yeah, we had 0.
You had some high hopes of getting guests on, which we have not done. Are we going to get any guests between, 200 and 250? Probably, right?
We'll get to that.
Okay. We'll save it. Save it for the pod, as we always say during the week.
Yes.
You said you thought it was likely there was going to be at least one episode where only one of us were going to be on it, perhaps because, the other person was interviewing someone that they thought was interesting, or someone else had another kid and had to miss an episode or two. But we were indeed both here for every one of those 100 episodes.
Think about what that means, though. That means that this is now 101, and really more than that, because, it goes back. Our last guest was episode 69.
69?
So that means 70 through 201.
Mm-hmm.
132 episodes.
Of just us?
Just us. So if people like hearing just us two talking, they don't want some interloper. Yeah. They've been getting that now forever. So when we have a guest, I don't want to hear any complaints about it.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to happen, right?
I think it has.
It's absolutely going to happen between 200 and 250. Do we agree?
I don't know yet. We got to get to that later.
Oh, okay, we'll save it for the pod. So you said it was going to be under 5 in-person episodes, which we had 2, by the way, in the first 100 episodes. But you said it was definitely going to be way more than 2. We actually did 0 in-person episodes, though I have to say, I sort of always enjoyed the in-person episodes. You seem to hate them, so are we just going to say that's never going to happen again?
Why do you think I hated them?
I mean, I've mentioned trying to do it a few times. We've gone down in this time period, and you're just like, it's too much work. It's like a bunch of stuff I need to bring, which is true, by the way. Like, I'm not don't want to spend an hour of my time in Atlantic City recording a podcast.
I think if I have a car, I'd be way more likely to do it. I think also I have this dream that I'll have a car, we'll move into the house, that door-to-door time, you take the bus out of the equation, even a rental car out of the equation. All of a sudden, it's like 2 hours and 5 minutes, 2 hours and 15 minutes door-to-door.
Still 3.5 hours for me, but that's fine. That's fine.
But I'll just be going solo. Like, I'll just be going for the evening.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be great. So I won't be as worried about that hour of...
So are you going to say, is it going to happen between episode 200 and 250? Do we need to wait and see, or?
I think yes. No, wait and see. I think we should aim for it.
I always push for it, and you always say no. So?
I think we should make a point to try to do it.
Yeah. I mean, the audio quality is obviously a little bit lower, but we're there. I think it adds, some amount of charm.
Agreed.
All right. I think we both agreed we were going to go to some podcasting events, like whatever those were. I feel like, I guess podcasting events are still happening. There's something that's happening soon or right now in Biloxi, I guess. That's a podcast event that we are not going to. But anyway, we thought we were going to go to some of these. We went to 0.
I will blame the pandemic for some of that. Like, a lot of that died out with the pandemic.
Sure. It is a lot fewer, I feel like, now than before the pandemic. And I know there's going to be another one in Reno, I think, in October during the traditional VIMP weekend. So
yeah, Lake Tahoe. The Zorkfest Travel Zork event is Lake Tahoe.
Right.
I think October 13th weekend.
Yeah.
But I can't make it to Lake Tahoe in October.
I mean, as I've said many times on the show, because, I was a huge VIMP fan, I can never make it that weekend because it's my son's birthday weekend, that middle weekend in October. So
he would love Reno and Tahoe.
He probably would, honestly, but I don't think it's going to happen.
So we didn't do that.
Yep. I don't think it's terribly likely, at least, that I would do that. I mean, you were always kind of more likely to show up to one of those, I think. So
yeah.
All right.
Listener meetups.
We had 4 in the first 100 episodes. We thought less. We were going to have less in the second 100, and we actually had 0. Certainly, we've had listeners meet up with us, and that's certainly encouraged and allowed. But we certainly haven't put together any, meet us at XYZ bar at, XYZ time and I'll buy you beer, which is actually what I said in episode 100. It counts as a listener meetup if I'm buying all of our listeners beer that come. So
I prefer the people just sort of popping in rather than organizing it. There's certainly like a layer of stress on trying to plan something. And also, it's not like we're pulling huge numbers. It's not like 50 people are showing up. It's not like the Everything AC Casinos Facebook group where they get some room at Ocean and 250 people and they're at capacity, or like the AC Adventures Facebook group where they're filling some ballroom at Hard Rock. No, we can't do that. So, rather than embarrass ourselves with how few people show up, just meet us at Bar One at Resorts.
Ourselves. I mean, there's 5 people usually showed up to those or whatever.
That's true.
I think it's pretty decent.
Yeah, we could do an informal one.
Maybe we'll try to do one. Yeah.
In the next 100 episodes.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. And if we like it, then we'll, next 50 episodes. That's the time horizon I think we're talking about. 100 episodes, 4 years. Like, who knows what's going to happen? We were talking about the highest downloads number to an episode. It was around 2,000 in the first 100 episodes. I said it was going to be more. You seem not really to think so. I put the number 5,000 out there. You said it was going to be significantly less than that. You thought that was preposterous. You were right, but I think our highest listened to episode was something north of 4,000 downloads. Though I'd say our median episode is probably right around the area it was in the first 100. Which is like low 4 digits. But yeah, we had a couple of random episodes that seems to have gotten a lot more downloads for whatever reason.
Yeah, I was going to save it for a little stats rundown, but our most listened to episode is number 186, Epic Philly versus AC Showdown.
Do you think episode 200 has a chance of overtaking it? How's that looking? I haven't looked at all.
I don't think that 200 will overtake it. What I think will eventually overtake it is the Vegas versus AC Showdown episode.
That's 200, right?
Oh, yes, that is 200. I was thinking that what we're recording right now is 200, but this is 201. Yes, I think 200 will eventually overtake it.
I think it's got a good chance to.
We said 5,000. Eventually, I think 186 will eclipse 5,000, just by the way it's going. I don't understand why. I don't know, I don't know if people re-listen or if people come to the podcast very late. That episode in particular is like blowing away everything else we've ever done, which I don't really understand. But
people love Philly and... Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe people are like, I can go to one place in the general, Philly, Southern Jersey area.
I could see that. People just looking for like vacation ideas that they're going to that general area and they want to know where to go. I don't know. It seems like a bit of a stretch, but maybe. Yeah, anyway, there's no reason for me to think about it. It doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
It's not going to change what I do.
Hey, we have a whole marketing team who's looking into this. They're crunching the numbers. They're figuring out demographic data. They're pulling all that out so that we can optimize every episode from here on out to make sure that every episode gets those kind of numbers.
All right. And finally, in episode 100, the most meta of these, you said you thought there was a 95 to 98% chance that we'd make it to episode 200. I thought 75%. I will have to say that you have a lot more insight into this because you're really the key member that keeps this podcast going. I will indefinitely just show up and read what you've written down on this sheet of paper. I don't really do any work for it. So what do you think? I will go with exactly whatever number you say as my guess for the odds we make it to 250 or 300 or whatever. 250.
250.
100%?
I'm going to say 95% again.
I mean, one of us could have a heart attack or something,
That's true. I'd say 95% again. 300, that feels like long in the distance. That I'm going down to like 70, 75.
Oh, man. That's a lot lower than
I know. I don't know why, like, the idea of another, 4 years.
I mean, 4 years is a long time. We've done a lot of episodes.
We have. Who knows? Maybe I'll actually show some ambition at work rather than just doing this, waiting everybody out thing and actually end up in a job that has some real responsibility and it'll be harder to do this kind of editing.
If I can give you one piece of advice, don't do that, man. It's not worth it. You'll just keep moving up through seniority because you work for the public sector, right?
I've hit my ceiling. I can't move up anymore.
That's tough. I still don't think it's worth it, but it's also not me not making more money if you don't do that. So I like that. My favorite thing about what you've said though is that it's 100% for 250 and 70% for 300.
I know, it doesn't make any sense.
Something really serious is going to happen between that time.
It's just like 50, that's close. It's less than 2 years away probably. We'll make it to 50, but 100, oh.
All right. I don't know what bets you have that you want to make. I have none, basically. So
I have a few for 250.
Okay.
Just to recap, out of all of this, I owe you $3.
Oh, easy money.
On top of whatever's in the doc, which I think right now I'm owed a little bit. I think I'm owed $11 and you're owed a meal at the Hard Rock.
That I will never get.
Yeah.
That was from 2018 when the Hard Rock opened, by the way.
Correct. Yeah, so it's 5 years.
Been waiting 5 years.
You should send it to a collection agency at this point.
Surely one day you will take me to the Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah, I should.
It must happen.
I love Hard Rock Cafe. I'll go get the messy burger. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
So, episode 250, presumably sometime around maybe March, April, May of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I've got for you. Will either of us bring our kids to Island Water Park before episode 250 is recorded?
Ooh. Yes. I think it's more likely than not.
I really want to say yes.
If it's open, it's hard for me to imagine not doing that. And it seems like they've been diligently moving towards, getting it open.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely going to open this summer. But I was thinking no because my summers end up crazy and like all our vacation time is spoken for. But it's year round.
It's year round, right? You can go in the winter.
That's true.
I think more likely than not in the next 2 years.
I want to say more likely than not, but I'm going to say no just for bet purposes.
All right. $5.
We're really putting our money where our mouths are with these $5 bets.
Kyle says that at least one child of Craig or I will be at the Island Water Park before episode 250.
Okay. Next bet for 250.
Mm-hmm.
Will we have a guest before episode 250? Or on 250 through episode 250, inclusive?
I just don't know. I mean, I want to say yes, but it is really a pain in the ass to schedule.
Yeah.
Probably.
I have so many people that I would like to have on.
Probably.
I want the no on this.
Okay. All right. $5. Do it.
Just inertia is hard to break. But 2 years, we should have a guest in the next 2 years.
Yeah,
certainly. Having not had a guest in 4
We haven't had a guest in like
years.
5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't had a guest since Holden was born. So
yeah, and he's 5. Last question for episode 250, and then I've got a few for 300. Will we have another batch of shirts printed or any other merchandise before episode 250 is recorded?
I mean, I feel like this is another thing. Like, are we going to have an episode 250 where if this happens, it's going to be because you do the work and do it, so you have a lot more insight into this than me? I mean, I'd like to. I'm happy to pay for it again or whatever if that's what ends up happening. But do you think you're going to make some shirts?
I think it's a yes.
Okay.
So both said yes, no bet.
All right.
And then 300. So 300, probably early 2027, end of Q1 2027, sometime around there.
Mm-hmm. Q1, Q2 2027.
Now we're getting into some bigger stuff. Will there be fewer than 9 casinos in Atlantic City? Which, if you don't know, there are 9 right now. When we record episode 300. You got to keep in mind New York City casinos. Everybody's talking about that. People are terrified. I heard that 30% of Atlantic City's market comes from North Jersey, New York City area.
Do they have any idea of when we're going to see New York casinos? I don't know offhand. I know they've been talking about it for years. I mean, we were talking about it probably at episode 100.
I mean, soon, I think is the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how imminent. The latest stuff I've heard is they're talking about just sort of expanding things like Resorts World and Empire City.
I've seen stuff about, Caesars, how they want to open a casino in Times Square or whatever, and which is smart.
I mean, this is idiotic. I do not think a casino in Times Square would hugely damage Atlantic City.
I think it would. What percentage of people in Atlantic City do you think are from New York? Or like, let's say the general New York, North Jersey, like that, the MSA or whatever.
30% is the data that we get.
That sounds about right, I think. Like, it's an extremely significant number. If there's a casino open, like, I think it's going to be bad news for Atlantic City. I think it's definitely possible. The just question is it going to happen before 2027? I mean, something else that could play into this is if they ever like unbundle the idea of like you have to own a brick and mortar casino in Atlantic City to run like online gambling. Like if that ever went away, like I think there's a couple casinos that could close immediately, more or less. Golden Nugget doesn't really have a reason to exist, if we're being honest, like beyond getting into like the online gambling market in New Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I could see happening is something opens in Manhattan or closer to Manhattan than
right, or even opens
JFK.
in Jersey City or whatever.
Right, and so New Jersey's response to that is to allow a casino at Meadowlands or Jersey City or whatever it is, and at that point, then you're really going to cannibalize Atlantic City. Like that, I think would be basically New Jersey sacrificing Atlantic City to like keep statewide gambling revenue. In which case, yes, definitely under 9. I am optimistically thinking that there will be still 9 casinos. Just because I think the data is still good. I think
the data is in aggregate good, but the data's actually been quite bad beyond the top 3 casinos, I think. Like, it's not like Resorts or Golden Nugget are doing well.
I think they're doing well enough to not close.
Yeah.
Well, Golden Nugget, maybe not. Bally's, I think, is on the upward trajectory.
Bally's is on the upward trajectory. You never know. Is Caesars just going to close Trop? Because, like...
Yeah, we've been talking about that for years, like Caesars owning such a big stake.
We were talking about them closing Bally's, which is the one that would have made sense, but they sold it instead. So, I don't know.
I think that an investor, though, would look at what's going on in Atlantic City, ignoring potential New York casinos, and say that luxury properties are doing very well. So, like Ocean, Borgata, Hard Rock are doing extremely well. Golden Nugget, which is on completely the opposite end of that, is not doing as well.
So here's the other like potential wrinkle is could they loosen the casino rules significantly so that Showboat could like just drop some slot machines in there too or something. You never know.
Yeah, I mean there was talk of that, when Hard Rock wanted to buy the Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
So, that obviously didn't happen. But that's an interesting point is like could you get a bunch of like boutique casinos?
Could it become more like Las Vegas or whatever?
Yeah.
With a real loosening of the rules. Like I don't think it's going to happen before 2027, but
me neither.
Maybe.
I think that's extremely long term.
Right. I mean, New Jersey's not known for their speed.
So what's your thought on fewer than 9, early 2020s, episode 300?
I tend to also think it's maybe more likely than not that there's still 9, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if there wasn't. And it could be a thing where if the answer is no, it could be like 6 or 7.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I could see a totally wild scenario where it's 9, but it's not the current 9.
Yeah.
And Golden Nugget is just gone and it's replaced by some Fontainebleau type.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
type situation.
The MGM Caesars, mega property's going to open.
Yeah.
I hear Pinnacle owns some land on the boardwalk.
It is funny because obviously the most recent new construction property in Atlantic City is Ocean and it failed once, but it's doing very well now. And so I feel like if you're looking at it, like Golden Nugget.
No. Like no one would put that money into it with the specter of New York City gambling hanging over the head of Atlantic City, I think. I don't think anyone could build a new property.
Yeah. One point I'll make about New York City gambling. You put a casino in Times Square.
Mm-hmm.
What are the room rates going to be like? Like, is it really going to be subsidized by gambling or is it going to be $500 a night on a weeknight?
Especially if it's like one casino to start. It's going to be so expensive. I mean, even now, like here in Maryland, the casino room rates are totally nuts because there's, 3 casinos really, and they all have like one hotel, and it's just very expensive.
So I'm like probably foolishly optimistic about the impact.
We'll say no bet, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the answer was no. I mean, maybe part of it too is I don't want to have to like be rooting for Atlantic City to fail or whatever.
Yeah, never bet against your own team.
I'm
firmly in that camp. Will a large non-casino resort open before episode 300?
Does Showboat count?
That can include in a former hotel. No, Showboat does not count because it's already open.
I mean, so that would be like
Atlantic Club.
Or
somebody builds something new.
No, they already have the Sheraton. They already have like the Marriott. No, I don't think so.
I do not think it's highly likely, but I think there's a chance.
Sure.
So I don't know if we'd go odds on this, but
I mean, like, we're obviously building effectively one now. I mean, it's a little bit cheaper than building from scratch and what's happening to the Showboat, but, they're still putting a lot of money into it. So, like, maybe.
I think if the water park opens and does very well.
But, like, what else could that even... You're not going to do another one with a water park at that point, probably, right? So, like, what's it going to be? Is it going to be, like, a hotel with a golf course? But where's that going to go? I don't know. Like, I don't know what else.
Some other sort of family thing, like, not to the scale of a water park, but, some sort of family-oriented beach resort with an indoor pool complex, and I don't know.
I don't think so.
I mean, I certainly don't think it's, like, 50-50. I'm not on the point of, like, yes, it will happen. but I'm way more optimistic than you are. I really think that potentially we could look 10 years down the road and say Showboat is what shaped, like is the most important development in Atlantic City of the past, like 15 or 20 years, which seems insane considering where we were at with Blatstein related stuff just a couple of years ago. But I think if that succeeds, there is going to be so much interest in maybe not necessarily a resort, but stuff that caters to people who are going to that. Showboat should be providing that. And right now, Showboat doesn't have a bunch of like restaurants and stuff inside it. Maybe it will with the water park.
Bricker's Burgers, Atlantic City Eatery.
It does have the ace.
You know what they need if they really want to succeed? Bring back Earl of Sandwich.
They should.
Which I did not go to, by the way, in Las Vegas. That's just shocking fact about that trip. But
at the Miracle Mile shops or whatever at Planet Hollywood.
Yeah, Planet Hollywood.
So are we just going no bet on this instead of doing some sort of like,
we could do some 9-1 or something, but I don't think it's really
you think
worth
it's
it.
9-1?
Do you want $9?
If yes, yeah, I'll take $9.
All right, sure. 9-1, put it down. It's not going to happen.
All right. Will Tillman Fertitta still own Golden Nugget when we record episode 300? So this encompasses everything. He could close, he could sell it, whatever.
I don't think it's likely that he just sells it, because who wants to buy it, for being honest? Like, who makes more sense to own it than Golden Nugget?
I mean, a rebrand. But I think it's too small for like the luxury kind of rebrand that somebody would want to do.
What portfolio of properties does it make more sense in than the Golden Nugget portfolio of properties? Who does that add to more than it adds to Golden Nugget?
Some hedge fund.
That's doing shit. Golden Nugget, there's like synergies because it's, now they've got a Las Vegas property and an Atlantic City property. And like, I think that does add value. And like, who is a realistic buyer of that?
Boyd Gaming.
Maybe. Okay. Someone like that may make a little bit of sense because that would also get them back into Atlantic City, though. Like, what did they ever do with the Borgata, honestly? Like,
just rake in cash.
Yeah, they raked in cash, but did they ever do that to like try to rake in cash in their Las Vegas properties? Like, I think they kind of mismanaged that when they had control of it, if we're being honest.
I mean, to be fair,
who wants to go to the California or whatever? Probably not that many people, but
Boyd is weird in general, but I think a lot of people love the Boyd properties in downtown, but like, there's such a disconnect between those and what Borgata is.
I think if the answer is no, it's because it's closed. And even if it's closed, like, he's still probably the owner or whatever.
He owns that land.
I think he's probably going to be the owner, personally.
I think no.
Want to bet no?
I think
no. All right.
I actually believe no, so $5.
All right.
Last question. Will either of us be back in Vegas before episode 300 is recorded?
Yes.
Yes. I also think yes, so no bet.
Yeah. I'd say like 80-20.
I think it'll be very close to episode 300. I think there's a world where one of us randomly ends up back like January of next year.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think it's not unlikely at all that I go in the next 12 to 18 months or whatever.
Is there a reason for that? Because you seem...
I mean, I've got like friends who live on the West Coast and stuff that if I met up with them, it's a very normal place for me to do it.
Well, we can get more into that next episode because I think we have more Vegas.
Vegas talk, yeah.
We can veer back into Vegas, which is what we really want to talk about on the Atlantic City podcast.
Indeed. Is there anything else that you want to talk about the first 200 episodes?
I just wanted to do some quick stats for the people.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 1, November 2015.
Yep.
Episode 100, June 2019.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Episode 200, May 2023. So yeah, that's pretty good.
Even in this much slower pace, we're still doing under 4 years for 100 episodes.
So we did 27 episodes last year.
No, I think last year was a much stronger year than the couple years before it.
It was 25 the 2 years before that, each of the 2 years.
Yeah. Then again, that was pandemic time, so I don't know really what there was to talk about.
Yeah, how did we get 25 episodes a year at that time? We've done 200 episodes. This is 201.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to the first 200 episodes end to end, you will listen to 7 days, 6 hours, 37 minutes, and 9 seconds of Due for a Win.
Yeah, unfortunately. But if you listen to the first, 194 episodes, it's 7 days on the nose. 193, whatever. Whatever one ends in Sandstorm.
Yeah.
How could we forget me feeling the most cracked out I've ever felt listening to Sandstorm on double speed in my car?
It's driving like 88 miles an hour.
No.
The longest episode, number 65, best of 2017, 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 5 seconds. I remember really having to edit that thing to get it under 2 hours, which I did not want it to hit. Longest in the last 100 episodes is number 200 at 1 hour and 32 minutes and 26 seconds, which I think was significantly longer than the one below it. We only had 5 episodes in the last 100 that were over an hour, after like all of our first 50 episodes were over an hour. 101 through 169, we had 69 straight episodes under an hour.
What a run.
And then we've had 5 in the last 32 that were over an hour. So I know that that's just killing you, because you hate these long episodes.
I remember, like, it stands out very specifically in my mind when we recorded the live episode in Bally's or whatever, and it was like 36 minutes or something, and I'm like, my god, I never knew that episodes could be this short.
So I think our shortest episode is still 25 minutes and change. I don't think we beat that. And that was episode 136.
Love it. We need to go back.
It was titled America's All-Year Resort, probably because of some old
the history.
Atlantic City stuff in the history. 199 was 28 minutes.
Love it.
Sub 30-minute episodes. This
well,
one,
you're doing your best to make sure this is not
not even close to sub 30 minutes. Okay, last question before we get into the
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you'd like to change about the show going forward?
I mean, other than what I've talked to you privately several times that I feel very strongly about.
Yeah, other than that.
That's not about the show. That's like, it's like show meta stuff.
Yeah. Which everybody, Kyle wants to cancel the show, by the way.
No, I don't think so. I think the show's, I don't know, I'm content with it. As always, I'd like the episodes to be a little bit more snappy, but no, I have no real issues with the show. I'm happy with it. I'm happy that history's over. I think that's kind of was a great segment. It's run its course. I'm content with the way seem like we're pointing towards in the future.
Is there anything you'd like us to do more of? I mean, we discussed more in-person episodes, guests.
In-person episodes and guests, I think those would both be good.
I want to do large arena in-person events where we sell tickets for $150.
I mean, it's a good gig if you can get it. I'd like to bring back some of the best of episodes. I think they're good. Maybe we should come up with more like gimmicky episodes, like our draft and stuff like that. I think those are like some of, frankly, our strongest episodes that we've done, and we haven't done any of those in like 8 years.
Oh, let me make a note of that. I agree. We should do more gimmicky episodes.
I think those are good, and there's a lot of times that, especially in the winter, there's just not a lot of news, and just being like, we're skipping the news this week and just jumping straight into, something like that. I think that's a good idea.
Okay, I think this is a perfect way to end it. If anyone has ideas for something that we can talk about,
I think for me, like our casino draft was like a really fantastic idea, and there should be more of that. Also, I crushed you on that.
Except, so we should go back to that episode because I picked out some things, like the location.
You were a bit ahead of your time.
I was ahead of my time on the location because I think I picked resorts for location, and it was like, obviously Caesars is the best location.
Right. It was before Ocean and Hard Rock.
Right.
And,
Does anyone think Caesars is
like
in the best location in Atlantic City anymore? Probably some people.
Yes, I think that's probably still the case. I would say that back then, I think Bally's was sort of considered the best location.
Yeah.
Which is what I drafted.
So that was episode 67. That's how long ago that was. So if anybody needs a refresher on what kind of oddities we're talking about, finish this episode, go back and listen to 67.
How about you? Is there anything you want changed?
I would like to get more guests just because I think that it's interesting and it shakes it up. That being said, the recording schedule, as we've said many times, it's hard. It's hard enough with 2 of us.
Yeah, usually it's like there's one day a week that'll work for us, and like at a very specific time. So it's just tough to bring a third person into that. But if there's people that are flexible, it's possible.
But I like the gimmicky stuff. We should do more of it.
All right. If you want to reach out to us or any of our other listeners, for now, you can do so at the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/2forwin. Find all of our great content and buy one of Craig's 4 shirts at 2forwin.com. Reach out to Craig on Twitter, 2forwin, or me at Kyle Eskin, and send Craig questions to 2forwin@gmail.com. What's our inbox status, Craig?
We have a suggestion for how to replace the history segment, but we should talk about that
Let's talk about it offline? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds fine.
That's it.
That's it? No last words?
You didn't ask me if I had any last words.
Do you have any last words?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, thank you guys very, very much for listening, both to this episode and the 200 that came before it. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure for me the last 8 years to be able to do this. And hopefully we've got a bunch more episodes coming up over the next 8.
I needed to look up some. Oh, why am I looking this up?
If it's not in the championship, I don't want to hear about it. This is going to be due for a win.
Yeah, championship talk.
It's championship podcast.
Oh, we should start a championship podcast next year when Leeds are in the championship and Millwall's in the championship.
I mean, we're going to have to take a due for a win trip to the Den to see Millwall hosting Leeds, right?
Den, just do both.
Both?
I want to go back to Yorkshire.